Welcome to the Radiant Life with Tatiana. I am your host, and I'm obsessed with empowering you to live and create the best life possible. I'm a master mindset coach, breathwork facilitator, and a passionate little Latina who loves sharing the magic behind your subconscious mind and energetics. If you're looking to uplevel your mindset, learn all about spirituality and manifestation, and to be inspired in making a change to embody your best self, you are in the right place. My goal is for you to see and unlock your limitless potential, to have the tools to break free from the chains holding you back so you can create and live your most radiant life. I am so excited to have you here listening today. Now let's dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to the Radiant Life podcast. I hope you're ready to feel so inspired by today's interview with Melanie. But before we dive into it, I just wanted to share and invite you that if you're listening, that means Embrace Your Radiance is open for enrollment. This is my 4-month group life transformational coaching program, and it's all about supporting women connect to their purpose, rewriting their story, building unshakable confidence, and learning everything you need to learn about how to manifest and create your dream life. And it's beautiful because in today's episode, we talk a lot about setbacks and failures and overcoming them and beliefs. And it's everything that is covered in this program and more. And whether you relate to my story or Melanie's story here, I want to just invite you that wherever you're at, this program is here to help support you. It covers all things mindset, embodiment, and manifestation so that you can truly step in to your highest potential and create your most radiant life. If you're listening and you're interested to learn more, you can go ahead in the show notes and click apply. The next round will be starting January 30th. You're going to be surrounded by so many beautiful, like-minded women, get coached by me, and have lifetime access to all of the video module content and tools that will support you in your journey now and for the rest of your life. If you have any questions, please send me a message. Let me know. Would love to support you in making the most aligned decision. Now, I hope you're ready to get even more inspired and know that wherever you're at in life, you don't have to be stuck there. You do not need to, your circumstances don't define you. And in today's episode, I interview Melanie, who is the woman behind the brand Passport to Manifest. And she truly shares openly, honestly, and is so vulnerable about the last few years of her life and how she embarked a journey of failure after failure and setback, and the blood, sweat, and tears that she was putting into herself, into her business, and truly how she overcame failure after failure and how she didn't allow it to knock her down. And she found new ways to figure out what the next direction in her path was. And that's truly what this podcast and brand is all about, is helping you get back up and seeing your potential and truly connecting you and activating that inner power that lies within you. And so I'm so excited to have you here listening today. So without further ado, let's just dive into today's juicy, inspiring episode. I hope you enjoy. Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Radiant Life podcast. Today we have Melanie Guerra on here to share her story. This is the woman behind the brand Passport to Manifest, where she shares her love not only for traveling around the world and inspiring you to go after your dreams through mindset and manifestation and really helping you connect to your inner power, but she is also a badass content creator, speaker, podcast, and retreat host. And I'm so excited to have her here. She truly embodies everything this brand values and stands for. And I'm so excited to have you on the show. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. That intro made me feel so good. Thanks.
Well, I remember before I have you go in, I remember I messaged you, so everybody knows how we connected. And I was like, you feel like I know you from somewhere and I don't know if you from somewhere. And it was such a creepy, like, hi, I don't know if I actually know you. Have we met? We have not. We did not actually meet. But you know, when you just like meet those people and you're like, I can't not say something because if I
Yeah.
did, I would feel silly. So
Yeah, it's
maybe
like you look familiar. I don't know from where, but I don't
Yeah, it
know.
drove me insane. I kept looking at your page and I was like, just message her.
Mhm.
Well, here we are. We've been connected, and who knows, maybe in a past life that our souls
Yeah, exactly. That's what
knew
I
each
was
other.
thinking too.
Well, before we get started, I'd love for you to just share a little bit more of who you are, what you do, and how you got to where you're at in life.
Of course. So I am very passionate about helping people activate their inner power, release stories that are holding them back, and adopt empowering beliefs. And I believe that this is like my soul's mission here on earth. And the way that I get to do this work at this moment is through the Passport to Manifest podcast and in person through my Bali retreats.
Yeah, that sounds
Yes.
amazing. So I've never been to Bali. I want to go so bad,
You
so
will
bad.
love it. Love it. It's amazing. I've only been once and I cannot wait to go back.
I bet. When, because is that where your next retreat is being hosted at?
Yes.
It's in Bali, right? Okay, yeah.
Hmm.
Well, I'm gonna have her talk to you guys about that at the end because if you guys want to go to Bali, I looked into it. I think the dates don't align with I have something going on, but
Hmm.
I'll have you share.
Okay.
Let's start off with so where did your love for travel begin?
Ooh, love for travel. I would say probably okay, so it really started with my love for France, the
Mm.
country. Like I remember when I was like I think in fifth grade, I watched this one cartoon with like this mouse. It wasn't Ratatouille. Okay. It was another mouse and he was a Parisian mouse and like I just thought it was the cutest thing, like the whole like French culture and I became obsessed with everything French. And then I wanted to learn the language and like I borrowed like books from the library that taught you how to, speak French, and they didn't come with like a sound, like a tape or anything like
Mm.
that, so I would know the sound. So I was totally guessing on the pronunciation. Um, but like from that moment, I was like, oh, I'm gonna learn French, and one day I'm gonna travel to France, and I would tell my parents that. And then like, of course, when I got to high school and we had French class available, like I signed up, and then I studied it from probably was it 9th or 10th grade all the way until college. And I ended up graduating. That was one of my
Wow.
degrees was in French. And I actually had gone to school to, since you have to pick a lane when you want to like pursue language, it's either teaching or interpreting. And I was like, I guess I'll do teaching. So that's what I ended up pursuing. But as you will find out, that's not obviously where I ended up.
Yeah. Wow,
Yeah.
good for you. I took French in high school because Spanish was my first language, so they didn't allow me to take Spanish, which was BS.
Yeah.
But I know like je m'appelle Tati.
Good
Comment ça
job.
va?
Yeah.
Funny because I'm watching Emily in Paris right now, and like, man, French accents are hard. Like,
Mhm.
props to you because
Yeah.
that is not easy.
They are hard for the American accent, especially. It's just so far from the sounds. Yeah.
Yeah, for
So I get
sure.
it. Hmm.
So it sounds like you were manifesting as a child before you knew what manifestation was by just telling your
Yes,
parents.
like I'm just now realizing that as I say this, as I tell you the story, like wow.
It doesn't, it all like divinely happens, right? So
Yeah.
tell me about how you got into manifestation then and learning all about the mindset manifestation concepts that you apply into your page and into the work you
Mhm.
do.
I guess we have to take it back to my story, like
Yeah,
where it all
let's do
began,
it.
like the awakening and really finding my path. So it will go back to 2015, which funnily enough, okay, so have you heard your personal year in numerology?
Yes.
So
But
there's like,
like, sorry, I'm trying to think. I've heard of so many different things. I think I'm thinking of a different number though. So keep going. Explain this to me.
okay, yeah. So it's like basically like you have a personal year that you're in. I'm not even gonna go into how you calculate it. You guys can look it up on Google. But it goes from like 1 to 9 and then it goes back to one. So right now is my year 8. And year 8 is a year of like harvest, abundance, like all the seeds that you've been planting are, finally blooming. And just to give another example, year 7 was it's a spiritual year, and for me that was very much true. Like last year was the year of my spiritual awakening, and I'll share more about that in a little bit. And also, Earth has its own personal year, and Earth is on year 7. So, like, this is the year to
Yeah.
do the inner work if you've been holding back. So anyway, year 8 is the year of harvest, and like, it's funny because I was talking to a friend the other day. I was like, "Man, I've been planting my seeds for like 2, 3 years, so it's time." And she's like, "Actually, you have been planting your seeds for 7 years." And then like, I did the math, and I was like, "Wait, so 7 years before this year?" That's 2015, and that's when my story starts. Holy crap. Like, what?
What?
Yeah. So, anyway, so 2015, like, it had been a year since I graduated from college, where, like I told you, I went to school to study foreign language. And I was like, no longer passionate about pursuing the teaching avenue because no thanks. And I just, I took up whatever job I could get. And one day I was like scrolling through Facebook, and this friend was like talking about these 3 terms that I had never in my life heard before, which were financial freedom, time
Mm.
freedom, and location freedom. And I was like, what is that? Like, I need that in my life. And I like ended up joining her MLM, and that was like the start, the or my introduction to entrepreneurship and really understanding that there was something else out there different than what I had learned, like
Mm.
different than either a part-time job or a full-time job where you go to work from 9 to 5 and you have this set income. Like, I didn't know that there was such a thing as, oh, you can, oop, sorry. Anyways, where was I?
Oh my God, I know I just got lost. Oh, you never even realized that that was a possibility. You never heard of things like that. You
Yes, yes. I had not heard of like the ability to basically have an unlimited amount of income, like based on, how much you were producing or selling or whatever. And I didn't even know that you could set your own schedule and all these things, and you can work from anywhere. So that was like candy to me. I was like, oh my God, I want a life like that. So I really wanted to succeed at this MLM, and I like soaked up all the advice that they gave us. Like, I took it seriously. I became that girl who would post about like the products and the brand 2 to 3 times per day on
damn.
social media. Like, I was that annoying. And anyways, after a whole year, I had not made more than $300. So I was like, okay, it's, I guess, time to walk away from this. I don't think it, and it was also feeling like it was just not aligned with me, which I didn't understand that concept at the time. But later on from that failure, it was hard because, like, after realizing, okay, wait, now I have to walk away from this and pursue something else. And I'm like, but I really, really love the idea or the concept of having those freedoms. And so letting go of that, I was like, no, like, I don't want to go back to a regular job, right? And I did end up realizing like I'm just not passionate about helping people with their physical health, which was what that like MLM company was all about. Um, so knowing that I wanted those like freedoms, I decided, like, my dad had been talking me into doing real estate for like months. He was like, you should just get your license and just, have that in your back pocket. Like, you don't have to practice real estate if you don't want. And he offered to pay for like the test and the course and all that, the licensing, because he really wanted me to do it for some reason. And so I was like, eventually, since I was just so lost on like what was my next step, I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it.
Mhm.
And I ended up liking it. I enjoyed it. And it like became my work. And 3 years in, I had my first taste of success. I was making the coveted 6-figure income. I had my time freedom that I had been dreaming about. I had my financial freedom. I started traveling the world that year. Like, so you asked me, when, I mean, I guess I always wanted to travel. Like, I had gotten a chance to go to France finally, in 2011 as like a study abroad thing
Mhm.
for a month. I got to do that in Paris. It was amazing. It was like a dream come true. And then the following year, I was an au pair for a family in France. But that was really all the traveling that I did. And so finally, this was 2018 or no, 2019, like both me and my husband started traveling the world, and my income was able to support that. So it was amazing. And then at the end of 2019, I come across this business conference that has like these famous motivational speakers. And so I'm like, I want to go because I looked up to some of these people. And my plan was just to get some business advice for my already existing business.
Mm.
That's not what ended up happening, of course. I just, for one, like, there were two like major breakthroughs I had at that conference. I was reminded, like, hey, you don't have the location freedom that you said you wanted. So I was like, wow, I totally forgot about that.
Mm.
And then, like, it just hit me on one of like the last days. I had been standing in the audience for like 3 days in a row, receiving all that amazing energy that those speakers were pouring at us. And like something within me is like a very light whisper
Mm.
was like, I want to be like them. Like, I want to have that kind of impact. And I want to help people feel this motivated and this lit up. But public speaking was never an option for me because I had always been terrified of it. Like in college, I avoided those classes. So I was like, no way. And so I was like, okay, well, how can I do this? What is a way that I can help people in a way that's more aligned with my true purpose? And so like I left that conference just feeling like I had this higher calling and I was gonna like set out to find out what that was going to be. And I
Mm.
was so excited. So I like hit the ground running. I immediately signed up for a course that taught me how to like build a course around my expertise and then sell it. I tried selling that course, however, not very hard. So, of course, I didn't sell anything. And then at the beginning of 2020, I hired my first coach ever. And she showed me how to launch a coaching business instead.
Mm.
And like right off the bat, I signed two clients and it was so exciting. But I realized I wasn't excited about the topic that I was coaching them around, which at the time was like social media marketing for real estate agents. And so I ended up pivoting into like more mindset coaching for business owners. And I had felt from my experiences with my coach that I enjoyed those interactions that we had. And I was like, the topics of social media and like, oh, these are your content pillars and stuff like that. It
Mm-hmm.
just seemed, for me personally, like there's nothing wrong with it, but it just seemed superficial. And I was like, something in me was like, I'm craving to go deeper. And I didn't
Yeah.
understand it back then. Like now I'm like, yeah, I'm that kind of person. I want to have deep conversations with you. And so now I get why that was. So then I signed another two clients, and like this time I was so lit up. Like I remember feeling like this ecstasy after every coaching
Mm-hmm.
call that I had never felt before for any job. And like I was like, wow, like this is it. Like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So as time passed, I kept launching my one-on-one coaching, and then I tried launching a group program. And the first time I ever did that, I promoted it for like 6 weeks and had zero signups. And oh my God, it hurt. But I was
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, this is just the first failure, like no big deal, I guess. We can keep going. And fast forward, I don't even know how many launches later. I say maybe two, three, I don't know. The rest of 2020, like still no new signups, still no new clients. My original clients finished out their program. I kept selling and launching and just promoting myself. And like when I say like I was doing it every single day, I mean it.
Mm-hmm.
And still nothing. And like I tried all of the sales and marketing strategies. I tried mindset coaching, like very, I would say superficial level mindset coaching, not like inner work as we understand now. And then also like just any hiring any support that I could think of and afford at the time, whether
Mm-hmm.
in the form of coaches or courses, and nothing was working. So I think I signed one more client in 2021, and that was it for the entire year. So in the span of 2 years, I had five clients. And by like December 2021, I was defeated. I was
Mm.
like, I literally can't, there's nothing positive anyone can say at this point to keep me going. And I remember just feeling so heartbroken because I was so convinced that this was my purpose and that I was meant to be helping people in this way, and I loved it, and I just didn't get why it wasn't working. And something really quick that I want to mention here is like, I think Catherine Zankina, who I
Mm.
love and follow, and she's like one of my main, I guess, mentors. She talked about this on a post where people asked her, like, how do you know when I don't know how they worded it, but how do you know when it's the right time to like stop pursuing a certain
Yeah.
avenue, you know? Not give up on the dream overall because the vision always lives. Like you never give up on the ultimate vision, right? But maybe the path that you were taking, that is what ends up being like a no, and you try a different path. So when do you know that path is like, no longer pursuable, I guess, or you no
Yeah.
longer continue pushing and pushing through all the failures? It's when you are suffering. And I was suffering. Like I was crying every single day that December. It was a bad one. So that will let you know. And so what I decided was, okay, well, I can't keep going. I was like, I guess I just have to quote unquote burn it all to the ground. I didn't delete that account. I actually kept it just so that I, for future me, can like look back at my like
I love that.
beginnings. But I stopped posting on it and I was like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Like I had my period of mourning and then I was able to like, okay, like think about what's next. What's that next step? Um, so I decided to start a new account. And this time I was like, well, I'm gonna try something different. I'm gonna start posting about like, visually, you're gonna see my travels.
Hmm.
And I still knew, as I was like thinking about what I was gonna call that account, I was like, I want to combine travel with like also me. And like me at this point in time, I had already been started talking about mindset topics and manifestation. And you asked me earlier, how I got into those topics. It was through my coaches. Like I was just always pursuing like how can I improve? How can I,
Hmm.
get to my goals? And so like it all involved this journey of growth and adopting all these mindset tools and then like falling into that manifestation rabbit hole and yeah, and just like learning that stuff. But at that point in time I understood manifestation very superficially. Like in 2021 I thought it was just like a set of um like activities that you
Mm.
do.
Yeah.
And now it's like, wow, yeah, no.
So much more than that.
hmm so I decided I was like, I don't know how I'm going to combine travel and like manifestation or mindset or just spiritual topics, which I feel like I was starting to get really into. Um, but I'm going to do it somehow. And so I was like, I came up with the name Password to Manifest. I
I
thought
love
it
it.
was
I love that
perfect.
name.
Yeah, and well, so after this huge failure, right? Like I had already failed that one time with the MLM company that I was in, and I felt like that was a public failure at that time because I was like, people are gonna know if I stop posting about the
Mm.
thing that I've been like obsessively posting about, they're gonna know I failed, which is so funny. Like, no, they probably didn't. But once again, this had felt like this very big public failure because I felt like, okay, people are gonna know. Like, obviously, she's moving on from this because it didn't work out.
Hmm.
But that big failure pushed me to look deeper than I ever had into like all of my past, my wounds, my subconscious programming, find where I needed to heal and what beliefs I needed to change.
Yeah.
And it like that's where my spiritual awakening started. It's like if I hadn't failed that many times, it wouldn't have led me to this place. And
Mm.
it also led me to like want to find a community to do some of that healing work with that I did end up finding it here in my town. And like that was like the first time where I was in a room with like what I felt were like soul aligned connections, which was freaking beautiful. And like that helped me heal my friendship wounds that I had held for years. And then I also healed like my worthiness wounds from this failure. I started believing like I am enough and I am worthy of every single thing that I desire. I The worthiness wound was like intertwined with my mother wounds as well. And
Mm,
I would say I began healing those. Like my mom and I's relationship at this point last year was like we were not talking. And we definitely improved that relationship. Like we were talking today. We went on a trip together in May of 2022,
wow.
which is our first trip together. Like we had never done anything like that. And for anyone listening, if you're like, how do those things connect to like, I don't know, success or manifesting your, dream reality? Like everything in your inner reality is reflecting onto your external reality. So
Yep.
absolutely it's connected to everything. And
I
um
think it's a part that like, and I share this a lot on the podcast, like that many people don't talk about with manifestation. It's like in order to become a master manifester, you have to look within and realize and heal and do and
yes,
the belief work and the healing work, because if not,
yes.
you're lugging around this massive weight of unhealed wounds, traumas, and beliefs that are blocking you from manifesting.
100%. And like I see now, I was just talking about this, that I see that why those fails happen too, like why it didn't work out with that the way that I was pursuing my dream in those past like 2 years was because I was trying to, like, when I signed up for the dream of like I want to impact people on this level, right? Like, okay, it's with their mindset or it's, helping them activate their inner power. Like I was not in a place where I could really teach that from experience. It's
Ooh,
like the universe was like, "Oh, okay. So you want this? All right, here you go. Here's your journey. We're going to put you through this so that you can really embody the things
yeah.
that one day you're going to be teaching people and showing them and helping them with." And like
Yeah.
that just blows my mind.
It's huge because you can't, like I say with coaching, you can't bring someone through something that you haven't gone through yourself. And it doesn't have to be specifically the same, but
Hmm.
it's in an embodiment, energetic way. Like, there's a story
Yeah.
with like Buddha, I think, and he's like, he had to wait a week to tell someone not to eat sugar because he had to not eat sugar first before he can
Yeah.
tell someone that you come from a place of like, I've done this before. So I
Yes.
can trust that you can do it too if I've done it.
Yes, yes. And it's like, I've really done this before. I've gone through so much in those 2 years,
Even though it's not
especially
fun, it
all
grows,
the spiritual growth, man. Yes.
it builds you.
Yeah, 100%.
So what was like your and I hear you and I thank you for being so open and vulnerable and like sharing those like hard points and like the quote unquote failures, right? And
Yeah.
what was like, even though I know you said you felt it, like what kept you going even through the ML, like you sound like you have such a ambitious mindset where it's like I'm going to keep going. I posted on social media every day for MLMs. I showed up
Hmm.
in coaching. Like what drove you to continue to show up even when it felt like nothing was working?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. I guess it's like it's that ultimate vision. It's like the desire, the yearning for it. Like I just believe so deeply that it is like what I'm meant to be doing. And if you ask me like, do you believe that you're like going to be living this lifestyle where you're impacting people in this way, like in this lifetime? I'm like, absolutely. And so I think that's why maybe like when we think about it in like a timeline, like do I believe that I'm going to be doing it in this year or 2 years or whatever? It's like that doubt can creep in, but it's like in this lifetime, I 100% believe like that is my
Yeah.
path. And I think that's what's like kept me going. It's just like I just desire that so much. And it's not just like, like, oh, I want it for no reason. It's like it's just something deep within me. I don't know. Yeah.
It's a knowing. I always say, like, I believe
Yes,
the
a
desires in our
knowing.
heart are for
Hmm.
us. Like your desires are different than mine because they're meant for
Yeah.
you to accomplish and birth to this world versus mine. And it's like when
Yeah.
you don't know where it comes from, but you just feel it in like your soul.
Yes,
The weirdest
yes.
feeling.
Yeah. And like it's funny because I look back at like the I was reflecting on like the whole public speaking thing. By the way, I don't think we mentioned this, but like I was talking about how public speaking had always been one of my biggest fears, and I just delivered my first speech to a crowd of 20 to 30 people 2 days ago.
Yes.
And that was amazing. And like, okay, so my first ever experience watching someone do a speech was in high school. And I just remember being like, amazed by it. Like, whoa, like different than probably other kids were like, they're like, oh, what am I doing in the
Not
auditorium
listening.
here? Like, yeah, I was like, whoa, like this is someone's job to like make us feel this good and like blow our minds with like the perspectives that they share. And so, yeah, and but then it was nothing that I revisited until that conference where I was like, wait, is in I think it became a secret desire, and I think you've talked about this too, about the secret desire of like you don't admit it to yourself consciously, but it's underneath, and the
Oh yeah.
subconscious is gonna make it happen, like for
Oh,
sure.
I feel you. And I remember like the first time I had I was meditating and I got the visual of me speaking on stages and I literally came out and I was like, oh fuck, no, no, what? And it's like deep down I knew because I would do things similarly in high school and I
Yeah,
was like, I'm gonna and yeah, it's like you just like, okay, like
yeah.
I don't know where that came from, but I guess it's meant to be mine, right? And like you said, it's gonna
Mhm.
present opportunities for you to really embody that. And then if you don't, that's when I believe is when we feel unfulfilled or we struggle with negative feelings because we're not in the alignment. We're not pursuing what our soul is meant to do on this earth. And
Mhm.
we're not embracing our gifts. And like
Yeah.
once you just accept it and you can admit it to yourself, then like, oh, it's just like this shift. And like I know some of the listeners like understand it. If you haven't yet, like keep working on like tapping into like who you are because once it clicks, I think life feels so much better.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
So what's your favorite part with tying and like how do you, support your clients now tying in? I love that you have like these different passions of like mindset manifestation, coaching aspect, and then like the traveling. Like I think that's what really appealed to me outside of me thinking I
Mhm.
knew really knew you was all your travel content. Like it's so
Yeah.
vibey. I love it. I just it's like so dreamy to watch your videos. So
Thank you.
how do you like to tie those in for those
Yeah.
under
So how, okay, yeah. So at first I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna tie both of them in, right? And like it ended up happening so naturally. Like at first I was, I would drop little things here and there with like, I would put a picture or a video of my travels and then put a caption that was like a little bit deeper, right? It wasn't about what you were seeing necessarily. And little by little over time, I started sharing like more and more about, my own journey with like, either spirituality or some manifestation concept or something like that, or just a perspective shift. Like, I always like to make people think differently on my captions. And a lot of people will say, like, wow, I never thought about it that way. Like, I
mm,
never, for example, something that I love to share this analogy on failure, which was part of my speech, is like, well, first of all, like, did you know that most people fail or, sorry, accept defeat after failing 2 to 3 times at something?
mm,
And then I'm like, imagine if babies gave up trying to walk after
mhm.
falling 3 times. We would
Yeah.
not walk. And so when people think about that baby analogy, they're like, whoa, like I never thought about it that way. And like babies are so fearless, even though like the fear of falling is like an innate fear that we're born with, they will still get back up and try again,
Hmm.
even though there is 100% a possibility of like falling, getting hurt, like they'll keep going. They won't create stories about, oh, maybe I'm not meant to walk, maybe I'm not worthy of walking. Like it's just you just keep going. So
Yeah. It's like they don't have those beliefs that, oh, this must mean I'm not meant to walk or I'm not good
yeah.
enough. Like,
Yeah, but we do that. We do that because of our subconscious programming. And so like I've kind of slowly, been dropping kind of like those little I don't know what to call it, golden nuggets in my captions. And so that's kind of how I tie those two things in. And it's like I bring you in with the visuals and then you stay for the thoughtful
for the
captions.
deeper content. I love
Yeah.
that. What's your favorite part of creating the content of the traveling videos?
Ooh, I mean, I love like visually creating. So I think like I really call myself like a multifaceted entrepreneur because it's like I don't just have one lane. I love creating, I love shooting pictures and videos and also like talking about these concepts and like speaking on my podcast and writing the caption. So yeah.
I love that. Were you ever, when you really got into creating content, even if it was for the MLM, but like, because I know a lot of people listening, social media plays a huge role in our lives, right? Whether it's TikTok or YouTube or Instagram. How did you ever face a struggle of feeling like not confident or imposter or fraud or like, because some people are like, I'm scared to take pictures or I don't want to create a video. What will people think, right? Like, did you ever feel that? And if you did, how did you overcome it?
So, okay, maybe I'm a little different because like I always was like um attracted to the camera and like since I okay, so first of all, when I was a little girl, I would like play in front of the mirror and pretend that I was in like a soap opera, like a Spanish soap opera, because that's what I grew up watching.
Yeah, I'm with you on
And
that.
yeah, and I would just act and just pretend. And so like I always thought like, oh, I would love to be in the camera in front of the camera. And then when I got like my first actual camera, like I love taking pictures. I always loved being in the pictures. And then like when YouTube became a thing, I was like, oh my God, I could have my own show. And so I just love the idea, but I never really like went like fully into it. Like even though I thought it was something I could do. I don't know what held me back. I just never like actually started vlogging or anything like that. But I felt like I would have been comfortable with it. Oh, I think I know what it was. It was like I just had a lot of physical insecurities back then.
Mm,
And so that's why I thought I just couldn't be, or I wasn't worthy of being in front of the camera. Um, and I don't know what changed. Like I think what helped was like seeing more and more people when in the age of social media, like just being more not only vulnerable but also like willing to show up in front of the camera with like no makeup, like they just woke up and just like it's normal and people still actually they love them more for that. And so like that kind of it's like it started planting this new seed in my subconscious of like, oh, it's safe to show up like that. And the more
mm.
I saw it, it's like it's safe to show up like that. It's safe to like, show up however in front of the camera and just speak more and more. And I will admit, like when I first started like doing stories and videos, I would get very in my head about like how I was saying something. Like I felt like I had to have it like scripted out and I couldn't say
Mm.
and take pauses. Like I just and so thinking about like, oh my God, I said again. Oh my God, I said and again. Like it would um it would kind of freeze my brain and then I couldn't think and then I would forget. So actually like that has shifted for me very recently. I think with practice over time, like I started becoming more comfortable. I started re-recording stories less and less. And now I was like thinking about this the other day. I was like, I don't re-record stories anymore. I just record it once and that's it. I'm like, oh my God. Like I'm saving so much time because I used to spend so much time re-recording stories. It was insane. I thought I had to have the perfect words, especially when it came to like selling something.
Mm.
Yeah. And
Yeah, and then it just feels robotic sometimes when you try to
yeah, it's like
perfect
after you
it.
repeat it for like the third time, you're like, okay, now I just sound like a robot. It's not really coming from like my energy anymore. Yeah. Um, and I noticed like I just recently had this shift where I think what helped me was like going back to Catherine Tankina, such an inspiration. So she had a podcast on how she used to get in her head about saying things like and like,
Mm.
and she decided to embrace that. She decided that like people will love and accept her even though she's saying those words or she's not a perfect speaker. And that is actually like a fact. Like I don't ever notice that she says those filler words. I don't ever point it out like, oh my God, how annoying she said another filler word. Like not at all, right? So
Yeah.
I think that was like it really like sank it in for me. And ever since then, like with my podcast, like I don't stop and record again. Like I'll just keep going. and just like I'll record in segments, but I don't like go back and listen and be like, what do I think about how that sounds? Like, oh my God, yeah. So it's been
I
a
think,
journey.
yeah, it makes you feel more real. And I think, oh, I know everyone listening here knows that I keep it raw as fuck on here. Like I
Yeah.
don't edit because I'm just like, hey, I'm human too, right? And I think that's what you probably learned from her is like, oh, I don't even notice because it's kind of normally how we talk.
Hmm.
And I think that's great. I think that's awesome that you were able to kind of overcome that because then it just
Yeah.
makes you more relatable and not like this robotic type of perfect person that we know not no one like that exists.
Yeah.
You did a retreat with her, didn't you? Is that how I found your page? I don't even remember.
No, I wish. Well, let me not say the phrase I wish, but it will happen one day, I'm
Yes,
sure.
manifest that
But no, probably that I follow her account and I have done a couple of her programs, but the
programs.
small ones, yeah.
Oh my God. For some reason, I swear you did a retreat with her. Wow. Maybe totally wrong.
Oh, you know what it is? You know what it is? We went to the same retreat. How cool
Oh,
of a gift from the universe is this? So, for anyone listening who doesn't know who she is, right? Yeah, she's like this manifestation expert, and I have like I don't know, I consumed her podcast during that like part of my life when I was like everything is like what is up with these failures, and I
mm,
think her listening to her is what led me down the spiritual rabbit hole and through like doing inner work. And so I signed up for this content creator retreat in July of last year, or June, sorry. And I found out, like, I think a month after I signed up, that she was going to be a guest speaker. And I was like, holy shit, I'm going to meet her. That's amazing. And then, come to find out, she wasn't just going to be like a guest speaker. She was going to be at the retreat the whole time as an attendee as well because she had been
wow.
working with the retreat host, and she got that retreat like for free as part of the package, the one-on-one package that they were working on. And so yeah, it's just like I'm like I cannot believe that happened. I
You're
It's amazing.
I
Yeah.
mean, you manifested it. You're on the same frequency, right? And I think it just
Yes.
shows like it doesn't matter like how big following people have or businesses. Like we're all human, right? And
Mhm.
I mean, I have friends that have like over 500,000 followers, and to me, I'm like, no, that's my girl. Like, what are you talking about? But other people are like, oh
Yeah.
my God, when they like
Yeah, yeah.
see her on the street, and I'm like, okay, like, and I just like I think it's a beautiful reminder. Like we're all
Yes.
human. It doesn't matter if you're TikTok famous or if
Hmm.
you're not even on TikTok at all or whatever, right? Like it's we're all we're all on the same level. We're all freaking on this earth spinning at the same
Mhm.
time.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's like one of the intentions I set. I love to write my like monthly intentions on my board, and I wrote down like I will feel equally as valuable as every single person at that retreat because I knew that some of those people were going to be more wealthy or have more followers
Yeah.
than me and or more successful, whatever. And I was like, I'm going to feel equally as valuable, and I did. I did not feel like I was like, that little feeling of like, oh my gosh, I don't belong here, like la la la, like no.
Cool.
So
Good for you because you intended it and you claimed it. And that was beautiful. Where was that retreat?
it was in an island in Greece called Eos.
Oh, I think my sister went there. She just hosted a retreat a few months ago. So they did a few islands. But oh my God,
Awesome.
I
That
love
sounds so
that.
fun.
So tell me about now that you're like you're on your groove and you're aligned and you're past 2020 and 2021 setbacks, where are you now and where are you
Yeah.
going? What do you have coming up for
Yes.
you?
So I like to say like my story is very much a story like an in-between story. Like I don't believe it's like a before and a drastic after yet. And I think there is something like so powerful about sharing the in-between because you don't really hear that as much out
Hmm.
there. You always hear the before and after, but like what about the in-between process, which is so long?
Yeah.
And and there are so many like little wins along the way that are so freaking valuable and we have to like really be so grateful for, and those sometimes get like I don't know discounted over
Yeah.
the big wins. So well now I like we said before, I have the Passport to Manifest podcast. My Instagram platform, this is something I'm proud of because like the Instagram platform that I had before for 2 whole years when I was doing coaching was stagnant. It was like stuck at 1,300 for
Mm.
that amount of time. And this account grew to over 4,000 people in less than a year. And it's just
Wow.
like mind blowing. It's just like everything felt different too. Like I was getting zero engagement on the other account. And when I say zero, like I mean that. Like I don't mean it was 300 likes or no. Like it was zero. It was
Yeah.
nothing. And like now I feel like this quote unquote following is more like an actual community of people who actually take the time to read my captions and to think about their responses, and like we have conversations in the comments, in our messages. Like they're always giving me feedback about something that they took away from like either a caption or a podcast episode, and it's just like, oh my God, like I'm seeing the actual proof. Like I'm receiving that what do you call it, like that validation that I was looking for those past 2 years. Like
Mm.
I ran those 2 years with like validation for myself, because nobody was giving me external validation saying, yeah, your content's good. And now I'm actually getting the external validation, and it's like,
Yeah, it's like you're really reaping the fruits, the flowers that you planted for so long. And I
yes,
think that's what
yeah.
some people, not some people, our society in general forgets. Like it's like that instant gratification they want, like
Mm-hmm.
followers now. And it's like, no, it takes time. Even me, like I keep it honest on here. I'm like, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not where I used to be. And
Exactly. Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'm like it's a gradual process. And I love that. I think it really shows that when you're in alignment and when you're true to you, things get to flow your way. And um the results speak for themselves and they show for it. And I think you're
Yeah.
experiencing that now.
Yes. And I have also, on the content creation side, I have worked with I've done like three hotel collaborations, or yes, and I'm
Wow.
doing four next month. So it's like a total of seven so far, and just like a year of becoming a content creator. That's where I like shoot content in exchange for a free stay at hotels like around the world, and that's been amazing too. So yeah, and like I'm hosting a my first spiritual luxury retreat in Bali, and that's kind of my first like I would say offering that I've done last year. When obviously after coming from that like big failure, like I started 2022 with really no expectations. I was like, I don't even
Mm.
know what to. I don't have a yearly goal because I don't know what life's gonna look like. So I decided to take it month by month, as far as like, okay, what do I want to experience? How do I want to feel this month? And that really helps. But oh, I lost my track of my train of thought.
No, you're good. You were just talking about how it sounded like you didn't put the pressure of all these goals in 2022 and things flowed
Yes,
for
yes.
you.
Okay, yes. I know where I was going with that. Okay, so yeah, so I wasn't thinking like, oh, I'm gonna start this Instagram and I'm gonna sell something right away. Like I was like, I'm just gonna create this travel content. I'm gonna start giving value around the things that, I love, the topics that I love, which are mindset, manifestation, spirituality. And I created the podcast, or I launched it in May of 2022. And yeah, so it's just like slowly, as time passed, I got this like little tinkling for, well, a retreat. And I had actually
Mm.
wanted to do a retreat for a while, like before I had the Passport to Manifest account. But I was like, if I did it, I have no idea what that will look like. And I was like, you know what? I trust that whenever it's the right time, I will start getting the pieces of the puzzle. Like I'll just get a
Mm.
random download and it'll start coming together. And maybe it won't come all at once, but it'll be like little by little, and it'll just happen how it's supposed to. And that ended up happening around like, I want to say July. It just like the pieces all started coming together. People were like, "Yes, do it." Like they were
Love
encouraging me.
that.
And so yeah, so like I started working on putting it together, and now it's out there.
Yay. That's so exciting. Do you want to share little details of, do you have actually, do you have spots open?
Yes, I still have spots open. So basically, it's going to be 5 nights, and it's an all-inclusive retreat. Like the only thing besides the retreat that you have to pay for is your plane ticket. So like all your food, your transportation, your stay, like the activities that we're going to do are covered. And basically, we're going to spend those 5 days like going on a journey within. So you're going to learn. how to like regulate your nervous system, how to bring yourself to like a neutral state when anger, fear, shame, guilt take over, which are such common emotions, especially when we're on a journey of like manifesting our dream lives.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a big like pillar in this retreat is like subconscious reprogramming. So learning how to clear resistance around your goals, how to break unwanted cycles in your life, maybe around like money, relationships, business, etc. How to release the story that's holding you back from being the version of you that you want to be. Um, and of course, manifestation. So getting clear on what you want, consciously manifesting your desires into reality. And I'm having one of my good friends, her name's Trayshawn Harris. She is like the self-love expert and she's so motivating. I love her and she's going to be kind of covering like how to stop comparing yourself, how to stop being so tough on yourself and set better boundaries. And she's also like she also does human design, so like we're gonna have human
Ooh.
design readings for everybody. So it's gonna be an amazing time, like meditations, fun visualizations, fun like little exercises where we sit in a circle and we share like what's coming up for us, like all the things that I love.
I love that. It is all up my alley. So when are the dates and how can people learn more and join?
Yeah, so it's April 20 to 25th of this year. And you can find out more and sign up on the link in my bio on Instagram at Passport to Manifest.
Yeah, I'll get all the links from you too, and I can just put them in the show notes to make it easier for you guys. Because if that sounds like up your alley and you want to go to Bali, I mean, how amazing. Like that
Yes,
sounds
and
like
like
amazing.
yes, and you asked me like what I see for the future. See myself continuing to do this. I really want these retreats to like make that the focus of like the one main place that people can come to like work with me and to get that community vibe because ever since I like discovered the power of community last year, I'm like, oh my God, everybody needs to experience this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. We're not meant to be like going through life alone.
Hmm.
And when you surround yourself with those people that lift you up and inspire you and see you for who
Yeah.
you are, like you become unstoppable.
Yes, it is so healing to like sit in a circle with people and like be able to share something that maybe you felt like, oh my God, nobody's gonna relate, or oh, I can't believe I'm sharing
Hmm.
this. And then there's always someone who can relate, who can give you like a little something that is helpful, and it's just like it's mind blowing. Yeah, I love it.
Oh, I love that. Well, thank you for sharing that. You guys definitely check it out. So I always like asking like a few questions if you don't mind answering as we wrap up. So you shared a lot of lessons, but what would you say is like one key lesson that you have learned along the way of becoming you and where you're at?
Hmm. I would say to whenever you experience like a door closing on you or maybe like a failure, right? Picturing this like progress bar in front of you and shifting your discouragement into celebration.
Mm,
Because in that moment that you quote unquote failed or somebody closed the door on you or an opportunity passed you, your progress bar actually moved up. We think that when we fail, like our progress bar moves backwards. We take a step back, we say, right? Like, oh, two step forwards, one step back, or something like that. But that's not what's happening. When you fail, your progress bar moves forward. And the only way that it doesn't do that, that it reverts or stays where it's at, is if you don't take something positive
mm.
from that failure and choose to give up.
I love that because you know what was just going on in my mind when you see like loading or like this wheel, like
Yeah, the
you never
loading bar.
see it go from like 65 to 52. It's like no, it might stay there for a little bit, but it keeps going. So
Yeah.
that was a beautiful visual. You guys, I
Yeah.
hope you just
So
had a aha moment with that one.
yeah, so like I believe like it's not only important to celebrate the wins, but also with the failures. I know it sounds weird for somebody who's never considered that. You're like, what? No, failures are painful, but like, okay, they sting, but you can also be
Hmm.
like, okay, thank you for the door that's probably about to open. Thank you
Yeah.
for the redirection. Because yeah, that's what's happening
You
ultimately.
never know like
Mhm.
what you, it's always for your highest good is what I always like
Yeah.
to
And I
say.
mean, if my story is not an example of that, I don't know what is.
Yeah, no, it's inspiring. It really is. What would you say are your success habits, maybe on a daily or weekly basis?
Mm. I always have to have like some time to connect with myself, whether that is, I use a variety of ways. So, like, sometimes I feel like doing a meditation, sometimes I do tapping, sometimes it's simply going outside for a walk, a long walk. And also, yeah, I like to, every week, I like to write down my weekly wins. So, like,
Mm.
let's say it's Sunday, and I write down everything that I consider a win. And it doesn't have to be like a traditional accomplishment, you know? It can be something like if it was a really bad like week, for example, like I didn't cry this week. So I feel like that's a win. I felt good every single day. I feel good about my body. Like those kinds of
The
things.
small ones, yeah.
Yeah, so I write down everything, even including like the goals that you can count, like followers even. And so by now, I started this in October of 2021, and like I have this whole book that I can look back and see like the progress on all those wins, and just be like, wow, look at what I was celebrating like 6 months ago. How crazy! And look at where I am now. So that's one. And then I shared that I also have like my monthly intentions on my board that is kind of like my North Star of like, how do I want to feel this month? What am
Yeah.
I envisioning for this month? So that kind of keeps me, going forward.
I love that. I love it because it's like, if how can we truly celebrate the big wins if we can't even find love and gratitude for the small ones?
Mhm.
And I love that you have like you have a separate book for it, is what you were saying.
Yes, I have a
That's
dedicated
awesome.
book for this.
I love that. I actually have like a little business, like a business journal of like how I reflect on the week, and I like looking back on it. And that's the whole point of
Yes.
journaling, is like look back to see your growth, because it's hard to track mindset or spiritual growth.
Hmm.
It's like not tangible.
Yes. And
Um,
ooh, one last one. Since you
yeah.
mentioned gratitude, oh my God, gratitude is so important. I cannot stress that enough. It's like such a
Yes.
foundational thing to be practicing. If you can start with anything, start with gratitude. Um, so like writing down like specific things that you're thankful for that maybe recently happened or happened yesterday. And what I really like, I got this from the book The Magic. I can't remember, is it Rhonda Burns? I don't remember
Oh,
the author
okay.
name, but it's the same one from The Secret.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, it's
so
her.
it's all about gratitude. And in the book, like when you write down your statements like I'm so thankful for blank blank blank, you go back and read your list and say it out loud like I'm so thankful for blank blank blank. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And that just kind of you say that out loud and it just really like elevates your vibe and shifts it more into that gratitude
Yeah. It
vibration.
raises your vibration. Heck yeah. It's one of my favorite things to do to raise my vibration. Or I'll go on a walk and like just rampage things I'm
Yeah, like
grateful for.
thank you for this, thank you for that. Yes.
Yeah, I love that. What would you say if you had a book or resource to give to anyone who wants to just like start their journey or continue their journey? Is there like, do you have like a favorite book or a favorite movie, resource, or anything like?
Yeah. Oh my God, yes. The first one that comes up to mind is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon
Mm,
Hill. Oh my God, that is a life-changing book. And that is where I really fully reframe my perception on both failure and fear.
Yeah, you have to listen to it, or at least I think you do. Because
Yeah,
like when I heard the devil's voice, I remember I listened to it on a drive once. I've listened to it like two times, three times now, and I'm like,
yeah.
oh, like it brings like the character to life, and you're like,
Really? I've only read it. I
oh
have to
my
listen
goodness, you
to
have to listen to it.
it. Okay.
Because if it gave you that impact,
Yeah.
you're please listen to it and let me know what you think. And everybody
Okay,
listening,
I
like,
will.
because I have my clients listen to it, it's a game changer when you listen.
Yes, it really is. Like that was such an amazing book. Oh my God, it blew me away.
Yeah, Napoleon Hill, man, he was way before his time. And the crazy thing about that book is it wasn't published, it was like published decades
Yeah, like
after.
1930s.
Yeah,
And he
because
was
his
talking about things that like today you're like, holy shit, like that's
yeah,
what
because his
that
family had so
applies.
much fear. They were like, wait, there's too much truth in this. What if like we get
Yeah.
cursed? So, oh yeah, okay, you guys go listen to that. That's I say that on here. So if you've heard that twice now and even listened to it, that's a sign. Go listen to
Mhm.
it.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, lastly, how can folks continue to connect with you, get in touch with you, work with you, share with me all where you're at on what platforms, and I'll obviously put the links in the show notes too.
Yeah. I am Passport to Manifest on every single platform. Well, not everyone, I guess. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, and the podcast.
Okay, so most of them.
Yes.
That's easy. I'll put it all in the show notes. And any final words from you that you would like to share to the listeners today?
Ooh. I would just say, let's see. I would say like maybe prioritize working on your subconscious programming.
Yeah, and if you listen to this podcast, I tell you that all the time. So
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I will put everything in the show notes. I appreciate you and I can't wait to continue to follow along. I love your travel content and excited to
Thank
see the
you.
success to your retreat.
Thank you so much for having me. I had fun.
Thank you everyone for listening. Please take a screenshot if you listened, if you loved it, tag us, and we will see you next week for the next episode. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to share it with me and write an Apple iTunes review so I can keep the good stuff coming your way. If you aren't already following me, you can find me on Instagram at Tatiana_Kuto. Make sure to tag me in any posts that you share. I love and appreciate you so much and cannot wait to connect with you in the next episode. In the meantime, go out and radiate your light into the world.